Our next nominee is from an author who is also a devoted GAA player. Steeped in Gaelic games, she realised the place of women in hurling was similar to the place of women in Irish society. In Camogie, women find themselves playing the same sport as men, but with a different name. And she discovers that we are still a long way from equality. The Eason Sports Book of the Year is The Grass Ceiling by Eimear Ryan.
I suppose I kind of alternate between women hurlers and Camogie players. The sport is called Camogie, so I've gotten used to that over the years, but I think it's so unusual in every other sport in the world. It's men's tennis and women's tennis, it's men's swimming and women's swimming. Even though you know it's not quite right that the women's teams aren't treated the same as the men's, to a certain point you do internalise it and you do start to feel a slight sense of, you know, maybe we're not as worthy, you know? And it's very hard to unpick all of that and to undo all of that. Nobody had really written a book about Camogie previously, so that felt like a really exciting opportunity. And I had a sense that even just by describing my own very particular, very personal story, growing up as a kind of a GAA mad youngster in rural Ireland in the 90s, that would speak to a lot of people on a lot of levels. Imagine us in a shady stand on a hot summer's day. The whole family sat in a row. My father, Seamus, my mother, Bernadette, my older siblings, Connor and Eileen, and me. The crosshatch of a dairy milk broken, the awkward sharing of 8 squares among 5. Imagine a few bottles of Score Cola. It was the 90s after all. So growing up, my biggest role model in sport was probably my dad and my grandfather, my uncles, all of whom had played for Tip at different levels.
Memories.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I think probably my biggest thrills watching you playing were when at the stage you were put in as full forward on our club team here and you were our goal scorer, and every time you hit the back of the net something jumped inside me.
I always felt that writing and hurling complemented each other really well because they're so different. They helped me to express different parts of myself. Like with writing, I think it's really good to like lean into your vulnerability and your honesty and maybe go to the darker places of yourself. Whereas with hurling or Camogie, you have to be like the best version of yourself. You have to believe you're gonna get to that ball first. You have to believe you're gonna, you know, hit the back of the net with that shot. So it was nice to have the two of them as such forces in my life. Hurleys accumulate. The shed at home is a graveyard of them, and I can trace my playing career through them. Sticks of various lengths, grubby with use, cracked and fissured, carefully wound with insulating tape in club colours. I think representation is really important. You know, I've 2 nieces who are 12 and 10, and I see them growing up in a world where, you know, it's not uncommon to see women playing sport on TV. You know, there's posters, there's billboards. We still have a way to go, but it is so much more equitable now than it was even 20, 30 years ago. I don't think girls growing up now are going to feel that same sense of like, we're not as valued. So yeah, there's hope for the next generation.
And I'm delighted to say that Eimear Ryan joins us now. Eimear, your story is like a campaign, really. How has the reaction been?
It's been fantastic. I suppose for me, it's such a personal story, but I did feel like a lot of the experiences I had growing up playing Camogie, you know, there would be a lot of women out there that it would resonate with. But what I didn't expect as well was there was a lot of men out there who kind of shared a lot of those universal GAA experiences. And even like women who grew up in the 90s who never really played sport, you know, a lot of them have kind of reached out to me and said that there was a lot in the book that rang true for them. Has
there been a backlash or anything at all approaching that you've detected?
Not at all, actually. The reaction has been so warm, and I suppose when you're drafting a book, there's like a lovely safety in it because it's just you and your computer and you can express yourself however you want. But sometimes when you get closer to publication, you know, you might be sending chapters to your editor or you might be getting page proofs. Reality kind of starts to set in and you kind of go, oh, people are going to read this. But everyone was so generous and warm, and yeah, I've been so thrilled with the response.
Because we know the GAA community is very close. fierce close, you might say. They don't like when outsiders slag the GAA. So what was it like to be asking tough questions as an insider?
That's a really good question. I think, in a way, as a woman within the GAA, I have a really interesting position because you're a part of it, you grew up in it like everyone else, like your siblings and your male cousins and your male friends, you are within it. But I suppose the GAA is a fraternal organisation still, so as a woman in that culture, there's a part of you that's still a little bit on the outside. And I think as a writer, that gives you a really interesting perspective.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic story. The best of luck to continue breaking the glass ceiling, one slither at a time, maybe. Eimear Ryan, congratulations and the best of luck tonight.